So back down at my dad's place today. We're here to get the cab, finally. I'm gonna get the cab back up to my place so we can start working on it. It's right back where the truck was stored just a little over a year ago. So we got a bunch of work to do to get stuff out of the way so we can access this bed, get it put on the trailer, and I can get it hauled home. No, I'll back the trailer up. I might have to pull up just a hair. You think that'll be too far back on the trailer? Because I'm worried about the reach.
Where you want it at?
I want to put the back, like this where the blocks are going to be, about like right here.
Okay, I got you.
Yep. Rockets are gone. All right, got her all loaded up, strapped down, ready for the ride home. If you're wondering why it's all the way at the back of the trailer, that's for good reason. I'm gonna be using the engine crane to get this off at my shop. So I'm gonna have access to the back to slide the engine crane under the back, put the arm through the windows here, and hopefully lift this thing up. So that's the plan, at least. We'll see how that goes. I gotta get this home, get the doors off, get the bench seat out, and hopefully get this thing unloaded tonight. All right, guys, I'm back at the house finally. That was a long and stressful haul. Putting the cab on blocks was not the move. I had to stop multiple times to keep the straps tight. And, you know, people are just not very brilliant on the road. Had a lot of tailgaters, you know, behind the trailer, and it was stressing me out a little bit, but we made it safe. I took it slow, stopped every probably 15-20 miles just to check the straps, because I started getting a little nervous about it. So I ended up stopping about every 15 or 20 miles just because I kind of got that thing in the back of my mind that, oh, something bad's going to happen. It was fine. We made it fine. If I was to do it again, I would not put the cab on blocks. It just shifts the cab around a little too much on the trailer, especially being at the back of the trailer. The back bounces. We made it. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling the doors off and the seat out. Now, the thing is, it's dark out, so it's going to be a little bit too difficult to film, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. When I get the cab back over to my other shop, I will pick up over there when we're going to start jacking the cab up and getting it off the trailer. All right, as you can see, the doors are off, the seat's out. I need to make my fixture for the cab jack, well, for the engine hoist that's going to be used to jack the cab up. All I've got is a 4x4 and a 8-foot 2x6. You only really need a 6-foot 2x6, but our local Home Depot doesn't sell 6-foot 2x6s. So I'm going to cut this into two 36-inch pieces. The 4x4, we don't have to cut to length. It's a 6-foot 4x4. Okay, now our two 36-inch pieces are going to be the upright arms for this fixture. The next thing I need to do is mark the center point on my beam here. 36 inches. Now the arm on my engine hoist is exactly 2 inches wide. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to notch 3/4 of an inch out of both sides of this 4x4. And we're going to do that 5.5 inches wide so that our 2x6 fits nicely into this beam. And then when this is bolted to the beam, these arms won't be all angled and out of whack. They'll be nice and vertical. Okay, so I'm going to set my saw depth to 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to mark each side width-wise, how far it's going to go. We'll just carry our marks up and over. And then I'm just going to run my circular saw through this until I've removed a 3/4 inch notch out of the center of this beam. All right, that's close enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. So the next thing we're gonna do, you can see I've got like an eye cut into this. Next thing we're gonna do here is screw these in. And I'm gonna use these flat lock. These are like for ledger board. They're basically the equivalent of a 3/8 lag bolt, but they're just these nice little screws. So I'm just gonna pre-drill a couple holes. Okay, we're gonna repeat that on the other side now. Okay, now you can kind of see what I'm talking about. This is gonna go up in the door frame of the truck. We're gonna drill some holes in our 2x6s here, and then the arm of the jack is going to slide in between these 2x6s. We're going to run a bolt through it. You only need one bolt for the arm. However, I'm also going to throw 2 additional bolts in these holes, because when we get this over to my shop and get it on the cherry picker, I'm going to use the other 2 bolts above and below the arm. We'll drill 2 additional holes above and below the arm, and those are going to be stops to keep this arm from rotating on the arm of the cherry picker. You'll see once we get it over there, it'll all make sense. But for now, so I don't lose these, I'm going to throw them all right into these holes. All right, and the very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 eye bolts directly into the end of this cross arm. And the reason for that is we're going to use straps. We're going to use straps to strap up the corners of the cab to keep everything in place and to keep anything from rotating on us. We don't want this thing rotating forward, backwards, sliding around in the cab. So this will hopefully keep that from happening. And I'll go over the setup once we're over at the shop. All right, that's that. I'm gonna get this loaded up in my cab, strap back down, and we're gonna head over to the shop and hopefully get that cab unloaded off the trailer all by myself. All right, there you go. You can see now how this is gonna work. Okay, you can see my arm on the cherry picker here. So I'm just gonna drop this down a touch. And I'm gonna see if I've got enough clearance. I think I do here. I'm just gonna slide this on in. Okay, so I'm gonna have to move out to the 1-ton. Sorry. You guys aren't able to see much here. I'm gonna have to move out to the 1-ton hole so I can get a little more clearance and grab the cab on the other side. Go ahead and do that now. Let's see, do we have clearance? Just barely, but we do. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and run this up and put some tension on it. Okay, see there, we hit that side, we hit this side. Okay, I got tension on that. Okay, so I've got the cab in place. I've got it lifted, but what I don't have yet is control over the clockwise counterclockwise rotation this way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a 1/2 inch hole on either side, top and bottom of the arm here, and run those 2 extra bolts I have through there, and that's going to lock this in place and keep it from spinning. I'm going to show you here. You can see now, let me back this light up a little bit. You can see I've got my straps run to each corner of the chassis, of the cab, and I've got my braces that'll keep it from spinning this way. So let's put a few pumps in the jack here and see what happens. Well, I see one minor flaw. I'm going to lower this back down a hair, and I need to reposition one of my locks. So the locks need to be on the same side. So I did mess that up. Let me drill some new holes here. Okay, let's pull this guy out. Run him through there like that. Now we should be locked in pin wise. Let's see. I'm just gonna keep an eye in those 2 bolts there. Sorry, I know the lighting sucks, but don't have a whole lot of options here this evening. There we go. It stopped rotating. The cab's lifting up evenly. We've got it well above the trailer now. I don't think I want to lift it any higher. And I don't really want to move the cherry picker. So what I'm going to do, pull my blocks out. I'm going to make sure we are 100% clear. There are no obstructions whatsoever, and we're going to pull the trailer up. It's very critical nothing gets hung up. So like my straps here, my excess straps, I'm going to throw those in the cab. All right, we need to come down very, very slow. This is probably the most precarious part of this whole thing. I'm gonna come down painfully slow so I can get this positioned just right. Okay, I actually don't like that. This way. Okay, I think the tension is off. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, we are loose. I'm gonna go ahead and pull my cherry picker out of the way. There we have it, guys. A little nerve-wracking, but hey, I just moved this extremely heavy cab all by myself. You know, if you're working alone, things like this can be really tough. So sometimes it takes creative solutions to figure out exactly how you can handle these kinds of things. A little nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that was the most stable thing in the world, but it did the job. The most important thing is to go slow, don't rush anything. I'm probably at the max limit of my cart, honestly, with as tall as the legs are. Definitely should go shorter on the legs. I may even do that. I may jack the cab back up, pull the dolly out, and drop this thing down a hair. I'm just fearful that every time I hit a rut or a divot in the floor, if I'm pushing too hard, it's gonna catch a wheel and knock the bottom of that wheel out from under it. It's probably okay, I've got it braced up every which way, but you know, I get nervous about these things, especially when you are working by yourself. You really need to take extra safety precautions, and don't do anything that you're not confident in. I know that could probably look a little bit sketchy, but I was pretty confident that was gonna work. It did work, and here we are. We got the cab in the shop. So the next thing on the agenda here is to strip more weight off this thing. I wanna get as much weight off of this cab as we can while it's sitting here. And then we need to do an assessment and figure out just how bad the cab is. I will tell you, it's worse than I thought. It is bad, it is very bad. And we got a whole lot of rust repair to do on the cab. So you're gonna see that in another episode when I strip this interior out and we get a good look at just how much work we have ahead of us. So that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. Remember, if you don't work on your project, they will not work on themselves. Get out in the garage, get building, and I'll see you on the next episode of Cody Builds.